Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic host of Bachelor Nation News. In our third and final video today, barring any wild breaking news, we've got Clayton Echard on the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast. Yes, that's right. Michelle Young is back. Good to see her. We're going to get into that. But first, we have Susie on the Viall podcast. They're both discussing sort of the end days of their relationship. It was actually very interesting. Susie said, rise to meet my standards or I'll find someone who wants to. Nick does a great job of pushing back on her. I'll share my opinion, and then we of course have Clayton's why he's grateful for Susie. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals, patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind the scenes bonus content. And don't forget, if you haven't already, click the link in the description or link in the comment section to donate to today's teacher of the day. All right. Well, here we have it, Clayton Echard on the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast. I'm going to play this clip for you. It's very fascinating. But first, I want to share for you guys what Susie had to say regarding her relationship and breakup with Clayton Echard. Of course, she was one of his finalists from this past season of The Bachelor, and then they started dating after the show ended. It was great, and then it wasn't.
I think I want to know and understand more. Like, I always found even just like psychology interesting because I'm like, I want to understand why I make these decisions or why these decisions make me feel this way. Like, I want to understand what's happening. And I think that helps you like be a better person, be a better partner. So I feel like I am always, and I have always, even before coming on to The Bachelor, like just enjoyed researching and understanding like why we do things or why we feel things. Mm-hmm. And then like understanding that you have choices. It's not just like, oh, I feel this way, so this is how it is. Like, you have a choice in everything that you do. And if you understand how those choices make you feel, it allows you to like move forward in a better way.
Yeah. What's something from your last relationship specifically that...
I love Nick. He's like, and let's talk about Clayton.
That relationship helped you grow? And then what's something from that relationship that you don't mind saying goodbye to?
I think Clayton and I both grew, like we had to develop a lot of patience with each other because we were very different people.
What were some of your differences?
I think we had very different expectations of a relationship. And that's like probably the thing that I'm happy to like close the chapter. It's like, I think that my expectations in a partner were different than what his expectations were to like be a partner, and vice versa. Like, I think I can laugh about it now. We actually recently spoke and we had a great, funny conversation and it was all good. So I feel like I can laugh through a lot of the pain now, where I might have been like a little bit more reserved to share. But like, we did have a conversation once where it was like my expectations were too high. And I was like, no, my expectations are what they are. Like, my standards are what they are. You can rise to meet them, or I'll find somebody that will, you know, like.
This is a conversation you and him
yes,
had
like
back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah.
You had an expectation. He was like, seems a little high.
Yeah.
And I'll say this is where you can be kind of like, we know nothing about what they were talking about. Her expectation could have been very reasonable. Like, she could have just wanted him to call her back, you know, once. So it could be very reasonable, but it could be a scenario, Susie, it could be a scenario, anyone else out there, men, ladies, whoever, where you have to understand that the other person needs to live their life. You need to live yours. And while the expectation should be something that you want at a reputable level, sometimes you have to lower your expectations. We always say dessert's not the main course, and a relationship should be dessert, right? Not the main course. So sometimes it's healthy to lower your expectations a little bit. And I think regardless of gender, I think that the older we get, the more we lower our expectations. I think.
And
what was that expectation?
Well, I think it was like in general, like my expectations, like my standards in a relationship or something like that. Like, that was, I like brought something to him and it was like, oh, well, I think your standards are a little too high. Like, you're expecting a little too much. And I was like, I don't think that I am going to lower my expectations and my standards. I'm going to communicate my needs, and you could come along if you want to.
Which is a little bit of a threat. She's saying it in good fun here, but it's kind of one of those my way or the highway. And it's like, well, when you're that brittle, when you're that rigid, if something's not perfect, you break, right? You need to be bending a little bit, you know, with that bendiness, which means her expectations, if he can't meet them in certain areas, maybe he exceeds them in others. It's kind of like love language. Like, if your love language is affirmations, but your partner's is acts of service, find a way to appreciate their act of service and take that as an affirmation. Do you know what I mean? Find a way to translate what they can offer. Now, it could be a scenario where there could be plenty of reasons why this wasn't working out for her, and I'm not here to tell people to like suffer until you make it work. I'm just gently pushing back on the idea that like everyone needs to rise to your level.
And like I'm laughing through it because I realized at the time when I said it, it probably did sound sassy because I remember saying like, you can rise to meet my standards or I'll find somebody who wants to. And I know it probably sounded in the moment.
I
was
love
like,
that she's laughing and everyone else is like crickets, like, oh boy.
It probably sounded sassy because it was a heated conversation.
Well, it's maybe that second part that was probably
exactly
the threat at the end.
Yeah, like
look, I mean, credit to Nick here for calling it out. His producers are laughing like, yes, as if you don't want me, somebody else will. I got boatloads of DMs. I got a binder full of women over here.
It might have been a little threatening. Clayton, if you're listening, I'm sorry. That was a little bit toxic of me.
I mean, I think we love talking about this stuff because how we communicate with our partners is not easy, especially in the heat of the moment.
Of course.
It is very nuanced. And yeah, I think, especially here on the show, we talk about community expectations all the time. So
okay, so like they say, go listen to the whole episode. I think, boy, this might trigger some of you guys. I think Nick does a good job in a lot of ways about talking about healthy ways to communicate. He might not be the best at it. He might be hypocritical because not only does he talk about healthy ways to communicate, he also has a podcast that needs to get clicks. And we all understand that. Every once in a while, I look at my thumbnails and I go, all right, I know I want to do good out there, but how do I get people to click on this? How do I sensationalize this a little bit? I mean, it's a problem with the news. It's a problem with the rewards we have on social media for getting people to click. But I generally think that Nick's more right than he is wrong when it comes to his thoughts and theories around how to have proper communication. So here's Clayton on the Michelle Young podcast, which, by the way, Michelle Young had posted this earlier. The crumbs from my podcast this morning, I've always called them crumbs because after it's over, that's what's left. Learn how to be happy with what you've got while you pursue what you want. And people have been wondering, myself included, if this is the end for Michelle Young on the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast. Let's see if she says anything here or just collects those final paychecks, because all signs are pointing towards her not being a part of the Bachelor podcast community for too long.
Well, can you elaborate a bit more on what was in that letter, how you got yourself into that place to write that, and just kind of why you wanted to send that off to her?
Yeah. Well, I basically was just going about my life. I don't know, it was a couple of weeks ago, maybe, when this message was sent. And I was just driving in my car and I just was overcome with just happiness. Like, I was genuinely just happy. I was like, my life is good. I'm doing what I want. I'm making an impact. Good things are happening. I've learned so much and I have zero regrets. Like, I love everything that's happened in my life because I am the person that I am because of the good and bad. And I found good through all the bad. So I just had this moment where I was driving and it was like a sunny day out and I was jamming out some music, windows down, rolling through Scottsdale. And I was just so grateful and thankful. And the first person my mind went to was Susie. I was like, she is the reason why you're here, like in this position. Because when the show ended, I had lost all stability and structure. I was like, what am I doing? I left my job. Okay, I guess I'm going to be an influencer now. I'm trying to make the influencer stuff work. It wasn't working like I thought, because influencing is hard. I hate that people say it's so easy. It is not easy. It is a full-time job. I'm not good at it, really. Like, I do my thing, but like, people don't give people credit for that. Like, it is an art in itself. You have to have creativity. You have to follow the trends.
It's a full-time job, folks.
And like, Susie would do that. Susie would like be on social media looking at what's popular. She loves social media. So she would look at all that, and she is an incredible influencer and she's an incredible person. So, but like, I'm not that. Like, and so I was overwhelmed though. And I was like, what am I going to do next? And I was like, I'm going back to corporate America. I'm going back to medical sales. What's safe? And she stopped me. She was like, Clayton, I see how happy you are on the days where you make an impact on people. I don't think you should give this up yet. Like, I just think that I think you have more in you. I think you're not done. Like, you've tried, but have you exhausted all options? I was like, well, no. She's like, okay, so like keep working, like put your head down, like try it again, give it another chance. And so I did in multiple areas, and then all of a sudden things started to like turn in my favor. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I actually can make a living, off of what I'm doing. And it's not medical sales now, it's my passions, true passions. That only happened because of her. Like, otherwise I'd be back working my sales job right now, which like wouldn't have been bad, but it just wasn't my passion. Mm-hmm. I didn't wake up on a Monday being like, can't wait to go to work. I'd be like, I gotta be like 7.
You're like another Monday.
Yeah. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just, for me, I always felt like there was more I should be doing. And
for those listening on the audio version only, called Bachelor Rush Hour, Michelle Young is on screen right now.
Find myself in a different area. And so I have her to thank for all of that. And I wanted to let her know that. I just sent her a message and said, thank you so much for all that you've done for me. Like, you've truly impacted my life for the better. And, I also just wanted to let her know too, that I was, again, sorry for like the turmoil that I put her through, whether it was directly or indirectly. I mean, I hurt her in a lot of ways, and I didn't mean to. But sometimes I did, from my actions directly, sometimes indirectly. And
so they do a good job of both discussing and sharing their gratitude for each other. Of course, Susie said in jest the whole, if you can't rise to my occasion, if someone else will. Like, she's obviously like, I'm sure they had way healthier conversations than that. But Clayton, I mean, coming off this season, dealing with being a people pleaser and enemy number one, I can't imagine how his relationship with Susie could have even ever flourished.
Just wanted to let her know that I was like, hey, when it's all said and done, you are an incredible human being. And like, I would not be the person I am today if it wasn't for you. So I just wanted to let her know that, because I thought, I think people need to have those conversations and reach out and let people know how much they mean to them, because it just when you spread positivity, it comes back. Like it comes back and finds you. And I'm just so thankful that her and I have that relationship where, we can still talk. We do text from time to time and check in and laugh and talk about, like how we, I made the joke. I'm like, oh man, like, I guess I'll keep some things private. But
share the joke.
Because some things should be.
By the way, Clayton and Michelle, former couple when he was on her season, are both single, right? Why not? Maybe Clayton and Michelle, huh?
Right, like that's between her and I. But at the end of the day, like, we are cordial, we're friends, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So it's just been really great, because she, like, I'm writing a book right now, and I sent her a message, and I was like, you know me more than most people do. Would you be willing to look at this? And she was like, absolutely. I could be so honored to do so. Like,
amazing. I'm happy for Clayton. I'm happy he's writing a book, and I'm happy to read it. Send me a copy, or I'll buy one, whatever. And Clayton's ability to talk about mental health and connect with others is something I think is way more valuable than working in medical sales. The idea that he can share from this big, strong male perspective how weak the soul can be, and reaching out for help and being brave enough to talk about those things. A+, Clayton. And of course, we met Susie this week. Fantastic human. One of the most level-headed couples to break up, and we're happy to see and support whatever they do next. Let me know what you guys think. Support our single mom of the day. Link in the comment section. We'll be back later. If you guys haven't already, check out Bachelor Rush Hour. It's my daily afternoon podcast. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.